Welcome back. Well, you can see the cars are moving off the grid now on the parade lap, and you can see the water coming off the tyres. Now, blue skies above them at the moment. There's a lot of steam coming off the circuit with the heat that's come out, but believe you me, conditions here can change, as Alan Jones has already stated. And just a few moments ago, it was absolutely bucketing down. Have a look at these shots here. And Jonesy, this just minutes ago.
Well, these are the very conditions that drivers hate. I mean, it's neither one thing or the other. I mean, they would prefer it to be either, either raining or dry. But one thing that we are going to be in for is the ever-changing conditions of the circuit. There's going to be some very interesting pit stops and some very interesting race strategies. The other thing, oh, here we go, is Rolf Schumacher coming back. So he's obviously had a bit of an off in the old warm-up lap. But what we are going to see now, for the first time, I believe, is that the safety car is going to lead these cars around until such times as the clerk of the course dictates that the circuit is safe for them to race without aquaplaning unnecessarily. Now, that could be 1, 2, 3 or 4 laps, we're not sure. But it's his call, and as soon as he feels that the circuit is safe enough for them to get into it, they will.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't think it's a bad idea, I suppose. Where this is a reasonable idea is that if they've had a dry warm-up in the morning and they haven't been able to drive the cars on the circuit in these conditions, to send them out straight away at the start of a race would be very dangerous. So it's normally good to give them 10 or so minutes of extra practice time, perhaps just to see where the puddles are, see where the little streams are running across the circuit, and then start the race.
Well, look at the blue sky there. I mean, it's amazing how quickly this is just cleared up. I mean, we had a shot not long ago of water just bucketing down the side of the circuit around the ripple strips and going into big drains.
Yeah, well, as I said before, it's the most unpredictable place of all times for weather. I mean, it can be raining in one half, dry in the other half, but it also will dry very quickly. See, see that little bit of water running across the track? Well, that's the very stuff that if you hadn't raced or practiced there before in these conditions and you came through that left-hander and hit that, it'd be real easy to aquaplane off the circuit. So, this is an observation lap, I suppose, for want of a better word, and I'll probably give them quite a few, just to let them know where these little rivers are and what's happening, even though they're not at racing speed.
And then they go back onto the grid?
Yeah, well, once the clerk, of course, dictates that he feels it's okay, then they'll go back onto the grid and get into it.
What about this circuit? I know you had a moment here, didn't you, once coming down the hill where a suspension component broke?
Yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful circuit, though. I mean, it just really is. It's a lovely part of the world. It's forest and some really quick corners downhill and up, and it's just a great circuit to drive on. And that's what I said before. To see someone like Schumacher in these conditions, that's when they really earn their money. But also, it'll be interesting to see the Bridgestones, because traditionally, in these very conditions, they've proven to be considerably quicker than any other tyre.
Well, of course, we talked about Bridgestones at the start of the year, because pre-season testing in the rain, I mean, they were seconds a lap faster.
2 and 3 seconds a lap on some occasions. But what's amazed me is how tight the field is. This is a long circuit. It really is quite a long circuit by Formula One standards, and yet the times are very, very close.
So as you can see, they're coming down round, still in behind the pace car.
They're going to do another lap.
Yeah, but already parts of the circuit that I noticed before are drying pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can see the steam coming off. So, I mean, I would imagine we'll probably see another 2 or 3 laps, and I think we could see the start.
Well, it's the one thing about Formula One. I mean, if it rains, they bolt the wet tyres on and you go racing.
Oh, absolutely. But as I said, this is a first. And I don't think it's a bad idea, really. It's really up to the guy or the clerk of the course. He's actually determining how quickly this circuit is drying. And then once he determines that the aquaplaning situation is going to be null and void, bang, they'll get on with it.
Well, we've been waiting for our audio links to come in from Belgium, and we've just been informed, because we will be crossing over shortly, we've just been informed that that's 1 lap off the race. They're actually racing now, AJ.
Yeah, well, because these guys do their race strategy based on the fuel load, obviously. Yes. So if they were to do 4 or 5 laps, even though they're going quite slow, it does eat into their strategy. So they will take these laps off the race distance.
All right, audio now is through from Belgium. Let's cross now to Murray Walker.
out eventually, he hopes, from the pit lane, but he's still there.
And watch this, the Ferrari team getting ready in the pit lane. One of their drivers has called in and said, I want a different set of tyres. I wonder who that could be. Maybe we can get our crew down there to find out. James will be finding out for us, no doubt. But somebody in the Ferrari camp has called in saying we're on the wrong tyres.
We had an incredible situation here in Belgium last year when the safety car came out. It transformed the race because Michael Schumacher, who is currently third in this race behind the safety car, came into the pit straight away and changed tyres. Jacques Villeneuve failed to hear the call for him to come in, went out and did another lap, as a result of which Damon Hill had a problem in the Williams last year, don't forget, and he had to thread his way between the markers and rejoin the race, drop right down, and eventually fought his way through in the Williams to finish. But now we're on lap 2 and we're coming up to the bus stop. The first lap was done in 3 minutes 35.5 compared with the lap record here, and Ferrari coming in, and it's Mike.
Now I think the message from the pits is Ferrari have put their wheels away, so maybe they've changed their mind on whatever change had been proposed by which driver we don't know at this point. But here they are, they're coming through Blanchimont now and then up towards the bus stop. Seems a little strange to see them racing like this. But I don't know the alternative other than us all sitting around for half an hour waiting for the rain to clear away.
Well, it will clear away, there's no doubt about it. The sun is out and really burning hot now. In fact, I've just got to check on the track temperature, which was 19 degrees, and it's back up to 28 degrees. So since we started talking to you, it's gone up 9 degrees.
Well, it was Eddie Irvine's crew, we're told, from our ITV pit crew, that was envisioning to come into pits and change his tyres. He's obviously been talked out of it or something. Just talking to the Goodyear people not half an hour ago, and they said this is the hottest Spa for 15 years, the hottest track temperatures we've got on our records in 15 years. But the whole paddock talk was about how hot it is for Spa, and here we are, Murray, in the pouring rain.
But of course, that track is acting as a heat sink, and now that it's stopped raining, we can expect the moisture, in fact the wetness on the track, to disappear pretty quickly. If you look down at the Mercedes that Gavin is driving, and there's far less spray coming. There's still a heck of a lot. There's a Lacey, there is Schumacher, there is Fisichella and Hakkinen and Frentzen, and behind Frentzen is Pedro Diniz, who is ahead of his teammate Damon Hill, not because he's passed him behind the safety car, which is not allowed, but because he started in front of Hill.
There's Villeneuve trying to stay out of the spray of the Mercedes-Benz, trying to keep his visor and as little water in his crash helmet as he can. Rather surprised to see the two people in the safety car not wearing crash helmets.
Well, we're on lap 3 now. It's a 44-lap race.
So when the lights go out on that safety car, it's on that lap that the car comes in and the race will begin. The charge will begin, and we understand the safety car will return to the pits at the end of lap 3. So the safety car is going in at the end of this lap, and then it's pedal to the metal. But they've got to watch out for those big puddles. At least now they've been able to have a look and see where most of the standing water is, because being such an undulating circuit, Murray, you get a lot of rivers running around here. It's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, I totally approve of this whole situation, starting the race behind the safety car, because it means, as you rightly say, that the drivers are thoroughly familiar with the track conditions. They know where the water is, they know where there is not so much water, they will know where they've got to be careful. So they're coming through now, and we'll wait to see those lights go off on the safety car. They'll be driving in a tremendous haze of water. All the people behind Villeneuve, who's been driving a very crafty series of laps behind the Mercedes. There is Mika Hakkinen, who went off this morning, had that very nasty accident yesterday when part of the rear suspension went on the Mercedes-Benz at nigh on 200 miles an hour as he was approaching Les Combes, the highest part of the circuit. Michael Schumacher weaving about in the Ferrari, and we are with Mika Hakkinen now, and the yellow car in front of us is that of Giancarlo Fisichella. The timing system is still working here, incidentally. The fastest man on the track at the moment is Ukko Katayama, who in closing a gap has just gone round in 3 minutes 13 seconds.
So the lights are out on the pace car. He will go down the pit lane which is as the bus stop starts. It's quite a long way before the start-finish line, which is what makes the pit stops here very quick. We'll talk about that later on. There goes the pace car out of the way, and now they can start the race. Nobody can overtake until they cross the start and finish line. No overtaking until then.
So Villeneuve will come out on the bus stop, and here he is. Villeneuve leads, Alesi is second, Schumacher is third. Down to La Source, the first lap at racing speed. Fisichella goes round. Now, are we going to look back and see whether there is any contact? There often is at this corner when the race is starting from a standing start, but thankfully it looks as though they have all got round clear, and Villeneuve has got that inestimable advantage of a clear track. Everybody behind him, Alesi, Schumacher, Fisichella and Häkkinen, have got those great roosters of spray being thrown up at them. They've got to drive through them. To some extent, they've got to feel their way around the circuit. Alesi is having a look at Les Combes. Michael Schumacher, who spent the whole of this morning working on the setup of his Ferrari. He was only 15th fastest this morning, and a lot of people thought he got a major problem. He hadn't. He was getting his car set up, and he's going through.
Yes, Schumacher got a great run out of Les Combes there, but couldn't make it stick on the way in to the hairpins, but terrific drive off that last corner, and here it is again. He's going to be giving Alesi more than a few problems for the rest of this lap.
Yeah, look at Fisichella behind him. Alesi and Schumacher and Fisichella battling for second position, but Alesi's holding them up, and Villeneuve is taking advantage of the situation to pull away in the Williams Renault. But Michael Schumacher is the man to watch, the undisputed rainmaster of Formula One. We're on lap 4 now, already at 1/11th distance in the Belgian Grand Prix. Alesi, Schumacher all over his gearbox. Fisichella is behind him. Then it's Mr. Häkkinen and Frentzen.
A big problem in these kind of conditions is fog inside your visor, and you've already seen Michael Schumacher. If you look closely, he's got a lot of mist on the inside of his visor. Not much he can do about that. But remember, the TV camera can see much better than the human eye, and that's what all the TV camera could see then. It's impossible to know where you're going.
Schumacher, again, he's diving left, diving right, but Jean Alesi is refusing to move. He's got the racing line. He's under no obligation to move, and Schumacher's got to force his way through. They're up to the bus stop now. This is the conclusion of lap 4, the 1/11th distance. Alesi second, Schumacher out of the bus stop together. Those enormous puddles seem to have cleared up to La Source.
Well, Schumacher's going to have to go up the inside because Alesi will go wide to take his normal break. They're going to touch. He's going to turn in on you, Michael. No, he just saw him at the last moment. Well done, Jean. Good move from Michael. A bit risky when you've got a world championship at stake.
Now, the gap was 1.5 seconds. Gap, what gap? The gap between Villeneuve and Jean Alesi. Now, here's a replay as Michael Schumacher courageously, daringly takes that second place away from Jean Alesi, who just at the last moment sees the Ferrari on the right, jinks to the left. Schumacher goes through, and he's right up with Villeneuve and going for the lead at Les Combes. Incredible start to the Belgian Grand Prix, and Michael Schumacher is the man. I hate to keep repeating this, but he is superlative.
You saw him there hard on the throttle. He's going up the inside of Villeneuve now. Beautiful move. Remember, Schumacher had those lesser treaded tyres. He should, if the track begins to dry, should have more grip. And boy, is he using them well. So an easy move there, really, on Villeneuve. That will have taken him completely by surprise.
This reminds me of Donington 1993. Here's a replay of Michael Schumacher at the right-hander diving inside Jacques Villeneuve. Here's a replay from Schumacher's point of view. And I was saying, he's clearing off now. I was saying that this reminds me of Donington 1993. The conditions were like this. Ayrton Senna started 5th on the grid, and that's going off the track is Ralf Schumacher. He went off on the formation lap. He's gone off again. He started from the rear of the field, trying to close up, and now you see Fisichella swarming all over the gearbox of Jean Alesi, who's in 3rd position. 2nd position, my apologies. Replay of Ralf Schumacher going off.
Well, Ralph did well to get out of there. There's usually a strip of grass around the outside that the security vehicles can use, and most drivers head straight for that, because if you get bogged down in that gravel trap, we all know too well, it's the end of your day.
Well, look at it now as Michael Schumacher comes through to complete his 5th lap. The gap previously was 1.5 seconds. Schumacher has gone through. Villeneuve is actually much slow, some 7 seconds slower on that lap. But the gap now with Schumacher.
And there goes Hill past Diniz. No, he didn't make it stick. He had to lift off. He didn't really commit himself to that move. It was his teammate after all, but Damon needs to be getting on with it. He's got David Coulthard breathing down his neck also, and he needs to be going. Hakkinen doing well in 5th. Remember, as of last night, he was on the back of the grid with alleged fuel infringement, but that's since been sorted out.
Well, Diniz is in 7th place and Damon Hill is in 8th position. Here's Fisichella and Alesi battling for that 3rd place.
Yes, well, Lacey there on the wetter side of the track, having to lift the water up, but he's obviously carrying more downforce than Fisichella. Fisichella had a lot more straight line speed there and on the drier side of the track and was able to just drive straight past him. And Lacey had a go at coming back up the inside, but really wasn't close enough.
Right, well, we're on lap 6. Michael Schumacher is 6 seconds now ahead of Villeneuve already. You can see the battle for 2nd position because there is Villeneuve. Behind him is Fisichella, who's forced his way past Sean Alesi, who's down to 4th position. In 5th place, it's Mika Hakkinen in the McLaren. 6th is Frentzen, who started 7th. Pedro Diniz is 7th, ahead of Damon Hill. 9th is David Coulthard. 10th is Johnny Herbert in the Sauber. And Villeneuve is not coping as well with this, obviously, as Michael Schumacher is. But look how Fisichella is pushing him.
Absolutely. That Williams, for whatever reason, does not work well in the wet. I can't see a logical reason for it. It's good in the dry. They don't run it with particularly stiff suspension. I just don't understand. But every time it's been wet in practices, that car's been off the pace, and Fisichella is all over him.
Now they're coming up to Blanchimont. This is the fastest corner on the course, and off goes the Prost of Shinji Nakano, the Japanese driver. That's the first retirement from the race, although Jarno Trulli is still well down.
Well, he could have had a go at the inside, but it's a... Oh, and he's locked his wheels. Villeneuve has locked his wheels. He's got to go through the pit lane at 80 kilometres per hour. That's cost him an enormous amount of time.
Yes, he's been passed by Fisichella, who's now up into 3rd position.
2nd place for Fisichella. Villeneuve going down the pit lane. He's going to stop for tyres while he's at it. Sorry, maybe he didn't lock his wheels. Maybe he intended to come in, but very early.
Brave move.
Okay, he's gone for intermediates like Schumacher. Schumacher was a full 10 seconds a lap faster on that last lap than any other car in the field. Villeneuve has stopped for the intermediates that Schumacher's running with.
And that was on lap 7. Long way still to go, 37 laps.
Here's Nakano going off at the hairpin. He then heads for that road around the outside, but doesn't give it full commitment and ended up beached. He won't be out of there.
So Fisichella up to 2nd place, Alesi 3rd. Look at the traffic jam behind Frentzen, and there is Pedro Diniz, and he is in 6th position, ahead of Damon Hill, as is David Coulthard. So, look at this.
Well, these are the kind of conditions where the Bridgestone tyres have been very, very good. You can see Damon Hill, Pedro Diniz, they're having a good look up the inside of David Coulthard. Frentzen there holding the lot of them up. Hill on the inside, no, you're not going to get through there, Damon. So a big traffic jam there behind Frentzen, and Hakkinen getting away now in front of them.
And it's getting drier all the time as the temperature goes up, and as we look at Giancarlo Fisichella, who is now some 17 seconds behind Michael Schumacher, but a good way ahead of Alesi. He's pulling away from Alesi in 3rd position. Hakkinen, here's the traffic jam. Frentzen followed by Coulthard. Diniz is down to 7th position. Damon Hill fighting for his place, and Johnny Herbert fighting his way up too.
Johnny Herbert having a go there at the rear wheel of Damon Hill. Couldn't make it work. Now you can see the 2 lines forming around the racetrack where the racing tyres have lifted the water into the air, and it gives you 2 tracks, and if you put your car in those 2 tracks, you have a lot more grip, but your tyres start to overheat. Schumacher on the intermediates, he's got a bit of leeway before they'll be giving up on him. There goes the Benetton. Alesi's coming in the pits. If he goes for slicks, it'll be brave, but there's some talk from our pit crew that's what he's doing. And but Alesi deciding those full wets are not for him either.
Johnny Herbert in the red helmet up behind Damon Hill, who is in 8th position. And look how close they are to each other as Jean Alesi comes in from what was 4th position. He's decided that he can cope with slick tyres. That amazes me. Look at them. Slick tyres going on Alesi's Benetton. This could be a brilliant move, but it might be just the wrong one too.
Well, this is hero or zero time, but Gerhard Berger in that sister car went out on Friday on slicks, and he was a full 6 or 7 laps before he could touch the throttle pedal. That's very, very early for a Lacey, but if anybody can do it, he can do it. I remember in the French Grand Prix of 94, I think it was, he ran incredibly long time on slick tyres in a wet track. He's good at it.
And Frentzen is charging now. You've got the race separating out into Michael Schumacher, then Fisichella, then Häkkinen, and then this pack.
Yes, I thought I saw Coulthard actually scream past Frentzen then, Murray. And here comes Diniz to do the same thing. Johnny Herbert's already past Hill. Frentzen, his tyres have gone away. It was Coulthard going past Frentzen up into 5th place.
Yeah, Frentzen didn't cover himself with glory yesterday because he crashed in the qualifying session, started down. But now Frentzen is slipping back through the field, and it's Schumacher, Fisichella, Häkkinen, Lacey, and Coulthard and Diniz is the order. Pedro Diniz driving a fabulous race.
Oh, yeah!
Well, you can see plenty of activity happening in the pits. Frenson's just been in. He's gone out on slicks also. And unfortunately, Barrichello has retired the Stewart car. We assume he's had some engine problems and he's retired. But as you can see, cars are just pouring back into the pits now. And boy, oh boy, we're in for a race tonight. Schumacher, half a minute in front, just fantastic. Fisichella, what a drive from him. Häkkinen is there, Coulthard, Diniz and Herbert. That's how they're running. Back to Murray.
Okay, they don't want to stop just yet, and neither of the McLarens have come in. They're living with the tyres that they've got. All of this leaves Michael Schumacher on his intermediates a full 35 seconds ahead of the rest of the field after just 9 laps. Whatever he's got for a setup, it's working well.
Yeah, once again, he's done what he did in Spain last year. He and the Ferrari people, as we ride with Mika Häkkinen in 3rd position, chasing Giancarlo Fisichella's Jordan ahead, the gap being about 2.5 seconds. But once again, Schumacher and Ferrari have called it exactly right. They've got the right tyres on, intermediates, they've got the right amount of downforce on, and they've got the best driver in the world controlling them.
But at the moment, Lacey is not as fast as those guys that stayed out on the wet tyres. But very, very quickly, as soon as he can pick up some temperature in those slicks, there you see him now. Villeneuve on the intermediates behind him. But as soon as those tyres pick up enough temperature, Lacey will find 10 or 15 seconds per lap. And then he's going to be sitting pretty, providing he keeps it on the island up till that time. But now I think about it, when I tested the Benetton, part of it was in the rain, Murray, and they said to me at the time, unless there's an incredible amount of standing water, the drivers are finding just as much grip on the inters as the full wets. Well, and clearly Michael Schumacher knew that well.
Yeah, I think Lacey's going to be laughing as Fisichella from 3rd position. He's been passed by Mika Häkkinen now, comes in. And to bring you into the picture, Jean Lacey and Villeneuve, who are battling for 13th position on respectively slick and intermediate tyres, were 66 seconds behind Michael Schumacher. Now they've got to gain an awful lot to catch him.
Well, you had Fisichella there coming out of the pits. His team let him go as Hill was coming in. Obviously a bit over anxious there. I wouldn't want to lay blame because I don't know enough of the facts, but we nearly had 2 cars colliding in the... and there's Hill leaving the pits now on his slicks, and he'll find those Bridgestones a bit of a handful. It's very, very tricky out there, and I know that they work better on the fully dry track. But meanwhile, Diniz carries on with his wet, and Johnny Herbert's still trying to chase him down. And there's Coulthard. What's happening to Coulthard?
He's really, really struggling. I don't know if David Coulthard, who hasn't been in, his tyres have gone completely, but Johnny Herbert's gone past him. Pedro Diniz has gone past him. Pedro Diniz is up into 4th position now. Now, look, there's Johnny Herbert. This is at Les Combes. This is a replay. You see Coulthard slow right down on the right-hander, and Johnny Herbert moves through in the Sauber.
Yes, David outbraked himself into the corner, and it's time to come in the pits, David. It's time to come in the pits. You need a new set of boots. We think Damon Hill could have gone out on intermediates, which would be a strange decision, I think, because there's a very small window where, having gone this far into the race, where those intermediates would be the tyres to be on.
Well, in this incredible race, one of the most amazing things to me is that Pedro Diniz, who started in the Arrows 1 place ahead of Damon Hill on the grid, has stayed ahead of the world champion. Deniz is in 5th position. Damon Hill is in 7th position. We're on lap 12 out of 44. There is Damon Hill, and he's got Johnny Herbert behind him. So Damon has got ahead. I apologise, it's Pedro Deniz. Pedro Deniz and Herbert battling for 5th place.
And Herbert goes down the pit lane, and why it's a very quick pit stop, but you don't have to do this section, the bus stop. He goes straight towards the pit lane. Look, Herbert's there before him, despite having to go 80 Ks, and then it's a very quick exit too. So a good, easy pit stop here, well worth doing. Schumacher 47 seconds ahead, and still 4 or 5 seconds a lap faster than those guys on slicks. They've gone very early for slicks. Here's David. He can only go for slicks. James, what is he putting on?
He is indeed putting slicks on. Meanwhile, the tyre covers I can see behind me have just come off for Jacques Villeneuve. He's going to have to make another stop. I'm pretty sure he's going to put slicks on. He came over the radio the last time round and said, guys, wet tyres were a big mistake today.
So Johnny Herbert has changed tyres and is in 4th position. David Coulthard has changed tyres. In comes Villeneuve. Villeneuve, who has already been in for intermediates, is now having slicks. And remember, Alesi came in at the same time, and he did change to slicks, stayed ahead of Villeneuve. Villeneuve's obviously decided that slicks are the better wear. They've got the choice of wets, slicks.
Look at Häkkinen's rear tyres. You can see the rubber. It's up in the air. There's Häkkinen having a bit of a moment across the grass at Les Combes. No big drama there. It's cost him time. But his rear tyres are absolutely rooted. He's got to come in this time.
That's because they get very, very hot, of course, if they're not clearing water. They very rapidly disintegrate, fragment, and go flat. And now Michael Schumacher on lap 13 has got this race in his pocket if he just keeps going. He's 47 seconds ahead of, 47 seconds ahead of the man we're riding with now, Mika Häkkinen, who's lost an enormous amount of time and was only... Now, do you know who is in 3rd place now? Pedro Deniz in the Arrows Yamaha, the car that we were talking about so much 2 weeks ago in Hungary with the different driver, Damon Hill. Pedro Deniz in 3rd position, and Mika Häkkinen is coming in for slick tyres.
Well, you can see the tyres there on that slow motion replay of Schumacher's car. They look fine. They've got a lot more rubber to go down on the track, a lot shallower tread, and he's making them work. He's still the fastest guy in the track by just over 2 seconds now on a Alesi slick. Now Ferrari will be looking at that, and they'll see Alesi now homing in on his lap time and say, okay, Michael, it's time to come in for some tyres.
And here is Mika Häkkinen. Wets off, slicks on, and he's followed by Pedro Deniz. That's Pedro Deniz in the Arrows as Häkkinen gets out. So Häkkinen has regained his place, but it's such an incredible leaderboard, I must tell you. Schumacher was leading, Häkkinen second, Deniz third. They've both come in. So Jan Magnussen, unless he's come in, and I haven't seen him, was up into 2nd place in the Stewart. And that was where Rubens Barrichello finished at Monaco, as we ride with Schumacher now on the fastest part of the course.
Yes, well, we've lost him, unfortunately. He'll have to wait until after Blanchimont before taking that, what I believe was a Minardi, and he'll have no problem passing that car. So this is Magnussen.
Yeah, this is Jan Magnussen, and ahead of him is Benetton, and that'll be Jean Alesi, and we need them to come through the complete lap in order to establish who is just where, because the computer that gives us information is literally not able to keep up with the way the pit stops are going. People coming in, stopping, others going through, then they're stopping, but all the time not stopping, thanks to that brilliant choice of tyre, Michael Schumacher. 65 seconds is his lead.
Well, Michael will want to stretch another lap if he can, and to get on a 2-stop fuel strategy. Lap 15 would have been the normal point to stop. I think they'll be bringing him very quickly. We've now got Mika Salo in a Tyrrell on slicks, the fastest car on the racetrack. That's sending all the signals to Ferrari. Get Michael Schumacher in the pits, even though he's got a very, very long lead. I think he'll be in very shortly.
Yeah, he could come in, decarbonise the engine, change his overalls, have a drink, and still get out in the lead, the way things are going at the present moment. We're going to know the answer very shortly, because here is superstar, double world champion, Michael Schumacher for Benetton. And if he finishes this race in 1st position, that'll be another 10 World Championship points for him. He's already 3 points ahead of Jacques Villeneuve, his closest, in fact, his only real competitor in the World Championship. and you can see the car is handling beautifully. You can see the way the track is drying out. He's coming up towards Stavelo now, and here is Jan Magnussen coming in, and Alesi is up into second position and the fastest man on the track with slicks. 2 minutes 3.5 seconds, but 67 seconds was the gap between Michael Schumacher and Alesi. They're on lap 13, and that is Jean Alesi in second place in the Benetton. Fisichella is third. Hakkinen will be in fourth position ahead of Johnny Herbert and Coulthard. So
that's Alesi just popping two outside wheels onto a bit of damp track, a bit of overconfidence, and that shows you just how treacherous it still is. He nearly lost that car then. You've got to keep it in the dry patches that the wheels make. Otherwise, obviously, your grip halves.
Here comes Schumacher. James Allen.
Yes, what a calm customer he is. Slick tyres going on. An absolutely marvellous performance both by him and his technical department. Everything looks pretty calm down here in the pit lane. I think everybody now has decided to stick with what they've got. But it's not as warm as we thought it was before. It's a set of scrub tyres, by the way. 8 seconds, so he's going to have to stop again. That's not enough fuel to go through to the end of the race. He's playing it cagey. He's got a nice big lead. He can be very careful. But for the moment, he's very much in command of this race.
Well, the big difference is, Murray, that obviously those tyres he had on at the beginning of the race could have been extremely marginal for aquaplaning, but the team knows, with the skill of Michael Schumacher, they could take the risk with him that no other team could probably take.
Yeah, and a complete stop here from entering the pit lane to leaving it takes about 30 seconds, as opposed took Michael Schumacher 31 seconds. He was leading by 67 seconds. So now he is on lap 15 out of 44, 1/3 race distance completed, and he's going to be, I estimate, when Jean Alesi comes through, about 47 seconds still ahead of the Benetton. It's more than that, it's 60 seconds. You're watching the race leader, 30 laps to go. Jean Alesi has gone through, the quickest man on the track, because he was doing the flying lap when Schumacher was coming out of the pits. And the gap then is now 60 seconds, with Giancarlo Fisichella in third place. Mika Hakkinen is fourth. Johnny Herbert is in fifth place. David Coulthard is in sixth place. Damon Hill, who has stopped, is in 10th position. And ahead of his teammate, Pedro Diniz.
What a race we're seeing, and we've just been told that some parts of the circuit have light rain falling yet again. So boy, oh boy, this is far from over yet. Now, AJ, we talked about the Williams team had to take advantage of what we thought Ferrari were having problems with at the start of the day. I mean, it hasn't worked that way, but boy, oh boy, they've really called this the wrong way.
Well, unfortunately, Villeneuve just came in too early, went on the wrong tyres, and he was only on them for a matter of 4 or 5 laps, had to come back onto slicks. That's a major mistake. And really and truly, I guess poor old Williams can't do much about the weather, and they can't do much about Michael Schumacher's fantastic ability in the wet.
Well, Villeneuve is back on the charge now. In fact, just a few seconds ago, he came up behind Hill. Now, here's the move here.
Yeah, well, he's taking Hill fairly easy on the right-hander on the inside going into there. Hill's on the wrong tyres. He came into the pits. Apparently, he demanded to go on to intermediates. The team said to him, no, look, go on to slicks. Everyone's on slicks. He said, no, I want to go on intermediates for reasons best known to himself. Now he's coming back in again to go on the right tyres.
Let's go back to Murray. Well, as you can see, we've lost audio link there, and there's Hill coming back out on slicks again. Now, that was really a bad blunder, though, to go onto those intermediates.
Well, you really should take notice of your team, because they're the people that are doing the laps of every other single competitor on the circuit, and they know whether they're lapping quicker or slower than you. And if they say, hey, listen, hang on, everyone out there on slicks is going quicker than you, why do you want to go on intermediates? It was a bad call.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, of course, while we're waiting to get contact back with Murray Walker again, AJ and I and the team will be heading over for Monza. We'll be at the Monza race, but prior to that, we are going to the Williams factory, and AJ, you'll be talking to your old friends just about all of this drama and what's happening with their season. Patrick Head and, of course, Mr. Williams himself.
Yeah, I'll be talking to Frank and Patrick and hopefully be asking them some questions that I'll get some answers. And then, of course, we'll be going down to the Ferrari factory, which will be great, seeing it's their 50th anniversary and the high that they're on at the moment.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get all the colour and the celebrations of the 50th anniversary of Ferrari. As I said, we'll be at Monza. We plan to go to the factory. We plan to do a lot of things and bring back all of that colour and story and action for you, so you won't miss anything from over here. So the Williams factory is the first port of call, and then we go to Ferrari and on to Monza, and we're really looking forward to that. And a lot of terrific interviews lined up with some very important people in Grand Prix racing, so we'll have you right up to date when we come back. Right, we've just reinstated our contact with Murray Walker. Let's go back live.
Why Frentzen is moving over, I've seen him do it 3 or 4 times now, why he keeps moving onto the wet patches and getting water on his tyres? They are slicks, aren't they? Or are they intermediates on there, Murray?
We always traditionally point out that when they're on treaded tyres that get hot, they find the wet parts of the track. It's very difficult, of course, when...
Is that rain? Is that rain? I think it's raining out there.
It's pouring with rain again. Well spotted. Now we're in the situation where everybody has been in. Literally everybody has been in. Michael Schumacher is leading by 40 seconds. If we've got a heavy rain point, it's not raining in the start and finish point where we are, but you're looking there at the Williams on slick tyres of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, coming up to Johnny Herbert, who is in 5th position. You can see that the track is still dry. They look like slicks to me,
Martin.
Martin.
Look like slicks.
They really do.
I don't understand why 2 or 3 times he's moved over onto the wet part of the track in an apparent effort to cool the tyres down. The Ferrari mechanics still looking ecstatic as Michael Schumacher cruises off into the distance, but he now too, look at the rain now coming down again. That's going to be tricky.
Now this is going to test him out. Remember how Senna used to stay out on slicks longer than anybody else. Is Michael Schumacher going to be able to do it? Meantime, Johnny Herbert has got his mirrors full of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who's looking for 5th position at 2 points, and he's not very far behind Mika Häkkinen, who is in 4th place. Mika Häkkinen is 3.3 seconds behind Fisichella, 3rd. Frentzen coming up to Johnny Herbert now. Is he going to try and get past the Sauber? Putting out at the last choice. No, Johnny Herbert just moves over that inch or so that closes the line through behind Harold Frentzen. They both run wide down to Eau Rouge, that daunting corner.
Well, they're at our end of the racetrack and there's no rain at all here, so it's just up at Les Combes. Often happens here, the track is so spread out that you can get rain at one end and not the other, as we've already mentioned earlier in the show. And here they come into the wet part. Look at the rooster tails going up now. That'll be a handful when he touched the brakes.
Fisichella 3rd, Häkkinen 4th, Herbert 5th, Frentzen 6th, behind Frentzen David Coulthard, and between Häkkinen, who is 4th, and Coulthard, who is 7th, there are just 3.8 seconds. And once again, on this part of the track, they're having to drive through heavy spray. Meantime, Michael Schumacher, nobody has been lapped yet. Nakano is out of the race. Rubens Barrichello is out of the race. Trulli is out of the race. I tell a lie, Damon Hill has been lapped as a result of coming in twice. But the top 18 out of the 22 who started, now on lap 20 out of 44, are all on the same lap as Michael Schumacher, with the exception of Katayama, who's just been passed. He's 18th in the Minardi. And look at Johnny Herbert right up with Mika Häkkinen. This is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th position. Häkkinen, Herbert and Frentzen, with David Coulthard storming along behind them, trying to close the gap. He's not actually doing so.
Frentzen's got tremendous speed down there towards Blanchimont and puts the same move on Herbert. Doesn't quite come off that he did on David Coulthard. And now he doesn't appear to have an advantage after that. It's just a straight line speed he's got. He doesn't seem to be able to break as late as Johnny.
Well, I must say I really would like to see Heinz-Harald do well in this race. He's had so many problems, including 5 failures to finish this year.
Yeah, I'd like to say that in the last race, when he had that fuel filler problem, there's a Minardi off in the gravel trap. Don't know where exactly.
It's Marquez, it's Tasso Marquez, and he was in 17th position.
But having given Frentzen a hard time on occasions this year, I want to say that he chose the right tyres in Hungary, and he would have been the one to pick up the pieces from Damon Hill's problem at the end of the race, because he was driving a storming race, but the car let him down. But once again, he's driving well here.
Marquez spinning his wheels, he's beached it. He's got the bottom part of the car in such a way that the rear wheels are off the ground.
Less water again now up there, look. Less water. There's, no, it still hasn't done. Johnny's braking later than Frentzen, probably because of the downforce situation. He has more grip in those slower speed areas, so Frentzen's going to have to get up along behind him into Stavelot and then have a good run at him towards Blanchimont, where he appears to be extremely fast. But it doesn't appear to be getting any wetter and slightly drier, I would say, up there at Les Cours.
Well, that's given David Coulthard the opportunity in the silver McLaren to close up on 6th place Heinz-Harald Frentzen. There is the German, and there in the background is the Scotsman, David Coulthard. And Michael Schumacher is now on his 21st lap. The next lap will be the half-distance lap as Villeneuve goes through. Villeneuve turning into Les Combes. Is he running wide? Yes, he is, just like Nigel Mansell did years ago in the Ferrari. Runs across the grass. Villeneuve not even in the points. He's not showing well in this race. He's had a very patchy year. He's only in 9th position at the moment. Remember, he came in for intermediates, decided that he couldn't cope with them, came in again, and he's on slicks.
Well, every Formula One driver knows that patch of grass intimately. The reason is you brake so late from such high speed going into Les Combes that it's very easy to outbrake yourself. And instead of turning in with an inevitable spin, you know it's smooth enough to actually... There's Frentzen. He's gone up the inside this time and still had to back out of it. Johnny brave there. Johnny kept his ground and said, not yet, you're not coming through yet. So we all know well, Frentzen's got a good clean run now out of the bus stop. But I still think Johnny will outbrake him when he gets there.
He's on the inside. Johnny Herbert's on the inside. That's where he needs to be. Frentzen has to back off, tuck in behind the Sauber, and out of the race goes David Coulthard, who was in 8th position, who's just re-signed with McLaren for at least another year, 1998. So there's now only one McLaren in the race, and in the race, but
Frentzen's got him this time. Surely he's got enough speed now. Yes, he's gone through. He used his straight line speed. Now Johnny's going to have a go back up the inside, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. Frentzen will now walk away quickly up to the rear wing of Mika Häkkinen.
And his next target is Mika Häkkinen, 2.3 seconds. We saw Häkkinen himself go off at Les Combes earlier on, but as you rightly say, Martin, Heinz-Harald Frentzen is pulling away. We're on lap 21. Michael Schumacher is leading Alesi by 37 seconds. Alesi just marginally faster than the Ferrari on the previous lap. When I say marginally, I mean 0.2 of a second, and that's not going to make much difference to a 37-second lead. Giancarlo Fisichella is 20 seconds down the road behind Alesi in 3rd place for Jordan. Mika Häkkinen is 4th, but he's going a fair bit quicker than Johnny Herbert, a couple of seconds faster on the previous lap. Herbert and Frentzen battling for that 5th position, which Heinz-Harald Frentzen now has. Down to 6th position goes Johnny Herbert, and Gerhard Berger in 7th place in the 2nd Benetton, so both the Benettons are in the top 7, is 4 seconds behind Johnny Herbert. We're with Michael Schumacher, and just to give you how supreme idea Michael Schumacher is at this track, his first race here was in 1991. He won in 92, 94, 95 and 96. Yes, he was disqualified in 94 for a technical infringement, which in my opinion didn't affect the performance of his Benetton. But nevertheless, he has won 3 times in Belgium. And his first appearance here was only in 1991. And he's on his 22nd lap, which is exactly half distance, on a course which is drying out, which may well have more rain on it, so unpredictable are the circumstances here. And we watch the McLaren of Mika Häkkinen, the only one left, 4th place, going up to Les Combes, trying to catch Fisichella, the yellow car.
Well, Fisichella's not that fast on his slicks, but moving along nicely. Let's remember that Michael Schumacher lives about half an hour down the road, just into Germany, in Kirpen, where, or used to live, where he's just started up his new go-kart circuit there. So this is almost home territory for him.
Welcome back. Ralf Schumacher in a fair bit of trouble.
Absolutely, just gets a little bit too much welly too soon. The back goes out. You just see the back left hand get on that white line. Very, very slippery, and away it goes. And now head first into the Armco. Watch the Armco give way. Look at this, look. Now, he would have experienced a few G-forces then, but it's just a real good testament to the strength of these cars and the way that they're built, that it'll just go back to the factory for a rejig and probably be at the next meeting.
Fair whack, that one. So Ralf Schumacher out, and of course Jean Alesi in the Benetton has just pitted just seconds ago while you're watching that replay. So it's all still happening out there. Conditions still treacherous, as we've just seen. So he's back into 5th place. That's Lacey. We'll go now back to Martin Brundle and, of course, Murray Walker.
The dry conditions, they won't be doing that now, but they won't be all that far off it. And Michael Schumacher is on lap 25 out of 44, and he's just inexorably increasing his lead.
The downside of Jean Alesi's early stop for slicks is he was on wets, he had to change to something. That was forced upon him, but stopping very, very early like that meant there was little or no point in refueling the car, so he's had to come in for his mid-race refueling stint. He was obviously on a one-stopper anyway, so bad news there for Alesi, because that's put him behind this pack now.
So now on lap 25, and things may just have settled down a little bit for the first time in this race. Here is the order. Lap 25, Michael Schumacher leads, Alesi second, Fisichella third. Hakkinen, that we're looking at now, is in 4th position. Into the pits comes Heinz-Harald Frentzen for his 2nd stop, and that will drop him down. Yes, Alesi goes up into 4th position. Johnny Herbert will go through into 5th position very shortly. And Frentzen, of course, as the 2nd tick by, is losing time and losing places. He was having that tremendous scrap for lap after lap. Now out he goes. Schumacher is still out there naturally, nearly a minute ahead of anyone else. He really has just got to keep going. And up towards Les Combes come Fisichella 2nd, Hakkinen 3rd. And behind Mika Hakkinen is the lapped Prost of Jarno Trulli down in 17th position. That's it. His teammate Nakano is out of the Belgian Grand Prix.
Dreadful day for Bridgestone. Nakano here, is that Trulli? I thought he dropped out of the race earlier on, but obviously it must have been Nakano at that point. Yes, Trulli has got going. Remember, he started from the pit lane way after the race actually started. But the highest Bridgestone runner, where we thought they'd be so strong in these variable conditions, was Pedro Diniz in 11th place. Quite how he slipped from his 3rd position all the way back there, we didn't see on camera, unfortunately. But Fisichella up there in 2nd place, driving with a cool head for a young man.
Martin, the 2 young lions in the Jordan team, Giancarlo Fisichella, that's Michael Schumacher leading the race, and Ralf Schumacher. And it was expected that the more phlegmatic German would come out on top against the more excitable Italian, to use the perceived national characteristics. It's proved to be just the opposite. Schumacher's gone off in race after race, time after time. Fisichella has always driven a cool, deliberate race. And he almost won in Germany, of course, if he hadn't had that puncture. Now he's in 2nd place.
This is the McLaren of Hakkinen lapping Nakano there. Slow motion replay. I think the problem is with Ralf, he thinks, Trulli, I keep mistaking those two. The problem with Ralf is he thinks he's Michael. You only have to stand on a corner for a quarter of an hour and watch them all coming through. Ralf arrives with the same total and utter commitment to a corner, but 1 in every 3 or 4 times through that corner he'll make a mistake, whereas Michael will always be inch perfect. He's going to have to back off a bit and then creep back up on his speed. At the moment he's going faster, he's more determined than his capabilities, and that's why he keeps flying off the road and Fisichella keeps on.
Wake up, that man. Ferrari mechanic going to sleep with Michael Schumacher leading the race. The man who won in Monaco, the man who won in Canada, the man who won in France, the man who has taken Ferrari back to the top, with Ross Brawn, who's doing an equally good job on the technical side of the Maranello concern. And Michael Schumacher is now a comfortable 55 seconds ahead of Fisichella, whose last lap was a bit quicker than Schumacher's, but he's got such a massive lead, Schumacher, that won't worry him in the least. We're looking at Giancarlo Fisichella now, and here is very much a star of the future, with Mika Hakkinen, who went off this morning, who had that enormous crash yesterday in the McLaren, in 3rd place. Now, he's had an incredibly consistent season, has Mika Hakkinen, because he's had 3rd, 4th, 5th places, but he's yet to get that elusive win, and that is Verstappen, Jos Verstappen, the Dutch driver of the Tyrrell. He crashed here very heavily in the Arrows last year and caused the safety car to come out. Here's a replay, and it's as Eddie Irvine, they were battling for 8th position, as Eddie Irvine comes out steps the back of the Tyrrell, into the tyres goes the rear of the car, And through up into 8th position goes Eddie Irvine, about 5 seconds behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen as a crestfallen Verstappen walks away. He's had more offs than he should have had, and he wouldn't have wanted to have one here because Spa is very much his home circuit as a Dutchman.
Well, Häkkinen's now starting to apply pressure, and Fisichella responds with a new fastest lap, as you can see, 1:56.5. So just 1.9 seconds behind is Mika Häkkinen on Fisichella. That appears to be the race at the moment. Lacey doesn't have to stop again, nor does Frentzen, so they're in good shape, although right at the moment they're back in 4th and 7th. But Michael Schumacher, 54 seconds out in the lead. He'll be going along saying, where are you guys? Come and have a game with me, because I'm getting lonely up here.
Yeah, I keep on talking about Spain, and this really is a replay of Spain 1996, because Schumacher is just as much in command here as he was there. And the gap here is and off spins.
It's a replay.
Sorry, I was wondering how on earth a second Tyrrell had gone off, because Salo is in 11th place and Irvine was in front of him. But
well, Verstappen's quite capable of going off on 2 consecutive laps, but we know that he didn't get out of the first one, so he's out of the race now as we watch Mika Häkkinen chasing down Giancarlo Fisichella,
who is going faster and faster, Giancarlo Fisichella. Now, their lap times of 1:56.5 and 56.6, respectively, compare with Michael Schumacher's last lap of 1:56.9. The fastest lap we've had, 1:56.5, so Fisichella, and that compares with the all-time lap record by Alain Prost at about 1:51. So, notwithstanding the fact that the track is in far from perfect conditions, they are about 5 seconds off the all-time 3.5-litre lap record of 4 times world champion Alain Prost.
New fastest lap for Häkkinen then. He's really homing in now. A 55.8. Fisichella's responding, but Häkkinen appears to have a little bit more speed. They're pulling away from Alesi, who's now 11 seconds down. Johnny Herbert still running very well in 5th. Villeneuve, he's coming through. He's now up into the point-scoring position, but his lap times are somewhere there or thereabouts, but not quite the kind of charge I was expecting from Jack. He can't afford to let Michael Schumacher walk away with 10 points and him just receiving 1 or 2.
Lap 28, Michael Schumacher, 53 seconds ahead of Giancarlo Fisichella. 3rd is Mika Häkkinen, the fastest man on the course, who is catching Fisichella. Here is Alesi in 4th position. Behind Alesi there is Johnny Herbert. 6th is Jacques Villeneuve, who's now got the Williams in the points after having had to stop for tyres twice. Frentzen is in 7th place, so the 2 Williams are next to each other on the track, but separated by about 7 seconds. Eddie Irvine in the 2nd Ferrari is 8th, Deniz is 9th, Berger is 10th, and Damon Hill, thanks no doubt to that wrong tyre call that we heard about, is down in 14th position, 45 seconds behind Gianni Morbidelli. Very bad, a complete contrast for Damon Hill from Hungary 2 weeks ago, where he was quite rightly the hero of the day, drove an absolutely superlative race, started well in the race here because Damon Hill was 9th on the grid, albeit 1 place behind Deniz, but now he's down in 14th place. We're on lap 29 out of 44, and Schumacher has got it made, provided he just keeps going.
Well, the world-famous ITV pit crew tell us that Michael Schumacher's mechanics are out in the pits getting ready for a stop. You can just see them there, they come into view. So plenty of time, no panic, they can just cruise in the pits. They're asking the Williams mechanics, move your wheel guns, chaps, if you're not coming in. We're bringing Michael Schumacher in now, so Williams moving some of their equipment out of the way to give him a cleaner run into his pit garage so they can pull up square to his mechanics and not at an angle and make life more difficult for them. Sometimes if you don't stop very close to the marks, the refueler cannot reach with the fuel gun. Then you've got yourself a 20-second shuffle while they move you around. But Häkkinen there, still closing on Fisichella.
For 2nd and 3rd, and Villeneuve is now the fastest man on the track, 6th position, closing up on Johnny Herbert. Indeed, his last lap was 2.5 seconds faster than the Sauber. It's going to be a very dramatic finish to this race, and Villeneuve is desperately trying to close the World Championship points gap here at Spa between himself and championship leader Michael Schumacher, who of course is a country mile ahead of everybody else at Spa itself. And in comes Schumacher, James.
Yes, in comes Michael Schumacher, very cool and calm. Slight lock-up on the way in. But the Ferrari crew very much on top of things today. Obviously another set of slicks going on. Now I'm going to run down after this and find out who else has to stop again. I suspect Fisichella does have to stop. I'm pretty sure Alesi does not. 7.3. That should take him through to the end of the race. Let's find out what everyone else is going to do.
So Michael Schumacher just eased his way out of the pit lane, 50-mile-an-hour limit.
And we all know too well, and many people have done it, you can spin as you just knock off the speed limiter there coming out of that pit lane, especially on a damp day. It's very easy to just do a complete 360 and lose the engine, so Schumacher very cautious there.
And we're still waiting for Giancarlo Fisichella in second place to come past and complete his 29th lap.
Well, Villeneuve now finally on a charge. He's passing there. David Coulthard. Yeah, that's been there a while. Yes. That's Coulthard's stricken car. So Villeneuve now finally on the charge. He knows he needs to get on with it. I don't know why it's taken him this long, but now he's moving because he's been absolutely awesome. Hakkinen in for his stop, another set of slicks and refuel. Should be able to go to the end of the race after this.
From third position, Alesi will go up into third position. There was only a 7-second gap between them, or at least he should do. And we're on lap 30 now. That is Tarso Marques, the Brazilian driver of the Minardi, who was out of the race a long, long time ago. In fact, he only did 10 laps. Villeneuve plunging down towards Eau Rouge, behind the frost of Jarno Trulli, lapping the Italian. And bright, bright sunshine now as he streaks up to Les Combes. And Johnny Herbert has already gone through that sequence of corners. And look at the gap that's already developed.
Some more rain, Murray, some more rain going on up there, just spitting away at the top end of the circuit. Doesn't look as heavy as before, but why is it hotter in this commentary box than in the racing cars?
Well, I could give you a very exact answer, Martin, but I haven't got the time to do it. But you're absolutely right. And Jacques Villeneuve then 6th position, 1 World Championship point, 9 World Championship points in this race behind Michael Schumacher, plus the 3 that he was already behind when the race began. And the Williams mechanics are out to greet who? I don't know. It could be Villeneuve in 6th position. He's been in twice. It could be Frentzen in 7th position. He's been in twice as well.
You know, it must be for Villeneuve. Villeneuve, remember, had to stop. He stopped for Inters, like Damon Hill, and then had to stop again for slicks. So it must be for Villeneuve.
In which case, Heinz-Harald Frentzen is going to take that 6th place. And once again, Villeneuve will be out of the points. He's really going for it on the absolutely dry roads now. Lap 31 out of 44. How time flies when you're enjoying yourself. It only seems a few minutes since this race began. Ukyo Katayama, 15th place, the man who's just climbed the Matterhorn without oxygen, the fastest time ever anybody has done it. And out of La Source goes the Williams as in comes Eddie Irvine in the Ferrari from 8th position. And Eddie Irvine's been in, this is his 2nd stop. No, it's his 3rd stop, I apologise.
Terrible weekend for Eddie. He's just not been on the pace at all. 17th on the grid, had a lot of traffic, but nonetheless didn't even threaten to do a good lap time. Reasonable pit stop going on. He's in first gear, ready to go. A nice stop, but Eddie will be looking forward to midnight, and then he knows that the weekend is finished because it's been a disaster.
Now, here's an interesting fact. Gerhard Berger, who we haven't heard much about in this race, is the quickest man on the track in the Benetton. The winner of the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. He's just gone round in 1 minute 54.9. He's only 3 seconds, he was only 3 seconds behind Irvine, who's just come in. So that means to say that Berger will be up into 9th position, getting very close to Pedro Diniz, who is in 8th place. Great race by this much maligned Brazilian driver, who's really showing that he's a lot better than we had thought he was. I've said that many times before, and I don't mind saying it again because it's very much a fact. And lap 32, Michael Schumacher is 28 seconds ahead of Fisichella. There are 12 laps to go.
So we believe Villeneuve and Fisichella due in probably on this lap. There's Villeneuve mechanics now. That fuel hose takes 2 men to lift it, as it weighs an enormous amount. Fisichella in 2.
From 2nd place, and he was 12 seconds ahead of Jean Alesi. So while you watch the screen, I'm going to watch the road and see John Lacey going through and moving up into second place. Out goes Fisichella. I haven't seen Lacey yet, so it's very, very close.
Johnny Herbert's in the pits
Johnny
too.
Herbert into the pits.
Villeneuve, I believe, in the distance behind him. There's Villeneuve in his stop. Important stop for him. He needs some points today, and I don't see him getting any at the moment because Frentzen, Hakkinen and co are all in better shape than him, and you can see Johnny Herbert's away in front of him too. So all to play for now for Villeneuve. I really expected him to run away with this race today. Conditions have changed all of that, and suddenly it's flip-flopped back into the hands of this man, Michael Schumacher, with regard to the World Championship. He had an appalling weekend in Hungary. He made a mistake on his tyres, then he made a mistake in the warm-up and damaged his main race car. He had an awful race, salvaged fourth place, looked pretty second-rate himself, and now here today he's been nothing less than brilliant.
Stop of the race and the battle between the Benetton and the Williams of Lacey and Villeneuve continues to rage down on the track. That's 36 out of Stabilo. And they're coming up to catch Ukyo Katayama, the Japanese driver, who is in 16th position in the Minardi.
Well, we've been down to the Benetton pit, and they say they have put fuel in at every stop, and the last one was a scheduled stop, so I'm wrong on that.
So, bound to complete that. Is Villeneuve going to have a go at Lacey? Indeed he is. He dives up the inside, but Lacey's got the line. This is where you can either go very, very wide, as they both have, or take a tighter line. There isn't very much in it. That's Craig Pollock, who is Villeneuve's manager and ex-ski teacher, and the man who's rumoured to be building a team with Reynard for Villeneuve to drive for. And Villeneuve now is really going to have a go at Lacey as they come up to Les Combes. Lacey protects his position, but if Villeneuve can just get a bit closer, no, I don't think he's going to get through. Yes, he does so. Great passing move by Jacques Villeneuve up into sixth position and into the points.
Again, a bit submissive there from Lacey. There's no doubt about it that Villeneuve had the faster car. Lacey knew it, but I thought he would put on a bit harder fight than that. So Villeneuve now on his way. He's just crept into the point. Could be a rather critical point by the end of the year. He's now got a set about Johnny Herbert. Johnny's been going extremely well, while Villeneuve there putting a good move on Lacey while they've been having that scrap, and Johnny's pulled away by 5.5 seconds, so Villeneuve has to set about him now for another valuable World Championship point.
Yeah, I mean, Herbert was faster than Villeneuve on the previous lap, but obviously Villeneuve was being held up by John Lacey. Now he's got a clear track. Now he can stretch his Williams legs and really go for it. And he's in sixth position on 1 World Championship point. That man, Michael Schumacher, is in the lead on 10 World Championship points, and he's on his 37th lap. What an amazing year he has had, because he's only failed to finish in 2 races, Michael Schumacher, this year, and this is the 12th race out of the 17 we're going to have this year.
And there he is again, cooling his slicks down. He obviously feels there's a little bit of give up, or it's just an extra security thing. Here comes Frentzen into the chicane now. He's going to take plenty of curb. Not a major problem. He wants to be sure he doesn't take his front wing off like Mika Hakkinen did exactly there this morning. He's putting on a spurt. That's the fastest lap of the race you saw Frentzen doing there. And he's making a charge for Hakkinen. He's 4.5 seconds behind. And Hakkinen's making yet another charge at Fisichella, who's in second place and driving well.
Well, while we're watching Frentzen in 4th place, let's not lose sight of the fact that young Giancarlo Fisichella, the man who so very nearly won in Germany, and we now look at, is in 2nd place, and seemingly a very comfortable 2nd place. He's coming up to lap Damon Hill, who is in 14th place, and he's 6 seconds ahead of Mika Hakkinen in the McLaren. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is 4th, Johnny Herbert is 5th, Villeneuve is in 6th position, Gerhard Berger, who is in 9th position, is again the fastest man on the track. The first lap in under 1 minute 54 seconds, and Louise Goodman is with David Coulthard in the pits.
Okay. David, you were in with a shout for some points there. What happened?
Got a wheel up on the curb in the fast corner that brings you down towards Blanchimont and just spun the car off there.
Tyre Tyre choice is proving critical in the race. Who makes the decision about what tyres to change to and when to change?
Well, the call, obviously I'm out the track, I know what's happening, and I just need to talk to the team and they'll inform me of what's happening as well. But the decision was made to come in. We're probably a lap later than we should have, but it was a call from me and then confirmed by the pit wall.
Lap 38, no change at the front as far as Michael Schumacher is concerned, or as far as that young man, Giancarlo Fisichella, the extremely amiable and extremely capable multiple ex-kart champion, German Formula 3 champion, the man who won the Monaco Grand Prix for Formula 3 cars, and he's up behind Damon Hill to lap him.
Eddie Jordan says Fisichella is in a Jordan next year. Contrary to what everybody believes and what the press is saying, Fisichella is not going to Benetton. We have two drivers next year, Ralf Schumacher and Giancarlo Fisichella, so a little bit of a bun fight creeping up there, Murray.
Yeah, and what about the rumours that Damon Hill is going to be in a Jordan next year? Or is it a Prost, or is it a Benetton, or could it be an Arrows? It's still very, very open. The only thing we're absolutely sure about is that it isn't a McLaren, and it certainly isn't going to be a Ferrari, because all their 4 places are occupied. Ahead of Fisichella, with Häkkinen third, being caught by Frentzen, ahead of Herbert fifth, and Villeneuve sixth, who is catching him, but not fast enough.
Okay, well, Häkkinen faster than Frentzen on that lap, so he's responding. If you're wondering where Alesi's gone, he's made yet another stop for a new set of tyres. He felt his rear tyres were going away, but with such a little time left towards the end of the race, there was no point in him coming in, I felt, because he's now back in 10th place. At least he did have an outside chance of a point by just sticking with those tyres, but he obviously elected to come in. You can see Michael Schumacher occasionally going onto the wet patch. Frentzen's doing the same. Clearly the tyres are on the limit, but looking at Schumacher's tyres and even looking at Frentzen's tyres, you can't see any particular signs that they're badly blistered or angry at all. Maybe it's just a precautionary thing. They can obviously feel the car sliding around underneath them, and something we can't see. You're so tuned into those cars, you're strapped in so tightly, you are part of the car, and clearly he can feel something that we're unable to see on our TV pictures as he streams towards Longchamp.
Well, one Ferrari in the top 6, one Jordan in the top 6, one McLaren in the top 6, one Sauber in the top 6, but 2 Williams. It's a long time since Williams that we got so used over the years to finishing first and second in a race, have had both cars finish in the top 6 places, the top 6 points scoring places, and this is Giancarlo Fisichella down through Eau Rouge at about 170 miles an hour, climbing now up to Kemmel. They continue the climb, or he continues the climb at 190 miles an hour up to the right-left at Les Combes, which leads into the right at Malmedy. Michael Schumacher is on his 42nd lap. Jacques Villeneuve has just become the first driver to circulate this Spa circuit in under 1 minute 53 seconds. He's put up the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 52.96, but he's still 4.5 seconds behind Johnny Herbert with just 2 laps to go at the end of this one. It's looking increasingly as though Giancarlo Fisichella there is going to finish in the highest position he has ever been in a Grand Prix. He finished in 3rd place in Canada, but it looks as though he's going to finish 2nd here at Spa. Now, look down at the Williams. You see how the left-hand side of the track, the Williams you're looking at is Jacques Villeneuve, the quickest man on the track. He's on 1 World Championship points now, 9 points behind Michael Schumacher in this race, plus 3 more, making the gap 12 if they both stay where they are at the end of this race. And it looks as though they're going to 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Only cruel reliability problems like Damon Hill had in Hungary are going to take a victory away from Michael Schumacher.
Well, he's making a big charge on Johnny Herbert, who's done another fantastic job in the Sauber Ferrari up there in 5th place. And I don't think he's got enough time. He's 4.2 seconds behind. He's giving it everything, look. Across the curbs, all to play for. Now, that's a McLaren of Häkkinen. That's Frentzen now. We switched to Frentzen. Frentzen homing in on Häkkinen for 3rd and 4th place, down to 1.4 seconds. Took another 3/10 off him on the last lap. Catching him is one thing, but passing him is another. But he's definitely moving in, as you can see. He's streaming through Eau Rouge. There's a lot of yellow line through the middle of the track. We'll look next time, and that's where the wooden plank underneath the car, the locality plank underneath the car, hits the ground and leaves a trail of wood all the way up the hill.
Lap 43, no battle for the lead. Michael Schumacher, no battle for second place, Fisichella. But what a battle for third position between Häkkinen and Frentzen. What a battle for fifth position, and here it is. Johnny Herbert, and in sixth position, Jacques Villeneuve. Gerhard Berger is seventh, Irvine is eighth, Denise is ninth. In 10th position is Jean Alesi after those 4 stops of his. 11th is Morbidelli, and then it's Salo, Magnussen, Hill, Katayama, and Trulli. 16 left out of the 22 who started, as Jacques Villeneuve continues to press Herbert for 5th position.
Villeneuve's going to be up behind Herbert on the last lap. He's going to be right with him. He's taking about 1.5, 1.6 seconds per lap. He was 2.6 at the beginning of this lap. 2 laps to go, including this one. So he's going to be right with him. Am I right on my calculations there, Murray?
I remember what Villeneuve did in France at Magny-Cours, coming up behind Eddie Irvine as they approached the last corner. And he literally hurled the Williams past the Ferrari, or tried to, only to spin into the pit lane and lose the place. Nothing deters Jacques Villeneuve when he's on a charge. And look at that. Michael Schumacher has lapped Mika Salo behind him in the Tyrrell, who is in 12th place. And this is Michael Schumacher's last lap of the Belgian Grand Prix. He's on his victorious way to make a 4th victory. Into the pits comes Damon Hill, and what is suspiciously looking like a retirement from the car and body language. The Ferrari mechanics are on the pit lane. This is going to be an historic 5th win in Belgium for Schumacher, including the one that he was disqualified from, I hasten to say. This is where he made his Grand Prix debut in 1991 with the Jordan team, only to be snatched away for the next race by Benetton, with whom he became world champion twice and won 19 Grand Prix for the Enstone team. And now, after giving himself the challenge of bringing Ferrari back to the top of Grand Prix racing, he's undoubtedly doing it. The gap between himself and Jacques Villeneuve is going to be therefore some 13 points in the World Championship, as Schumacher comes up to the bus stop for the 44th and last time. This has been a victory of such dominance that Michael Schumacher has underlined yet again why he's the great world champion he is, and off spins Irvine as Michael Schumacher wins the Belgian Grand Prix.
Well, a tale of 2 fortunes there. Looks like Deniz and Irvine got together. Schumacher will pull straight into the Parc Fermé. No closing lap here. And we wait now for Fisichella. Here he is, coming through the bus stop. Superb drive from him on a day when you had to keep your head. You need an old head on young shoulders, and he apparently has it. Häkkinen, I believe, will also keep off Frentzen and Johnny Herbert. Yes, there you go, Häkkinen. Now, where's Herbert? There's Villeneuve. I think Herbert will be going through to take 5th place. A strong drive from Johnny, and just 1 point for Villeneuve. Not a good day for him.
So Michael Schumacher wins to extend that World Championship. He richly deserves this year's World Championship. I said I thought Villeneuve was going to get it, but Schumacher is most definitely in the process of proving me very wrong indeed. Giancarlo Fisichella finishes in the highest position that he's ever been in a Grand Prix. Second for Jordan. Mika Häkkinen takes yet another 3rd place because he's already had 2 this year. Heinz-Harald Frentzen does finish ahead of Jacques Villeneuve in 4th position. Johnny Herbert, a great 5th place. There's a replay of Michael Schumacher winning the Belgian Grand Prix, and that 1 World Championship point is all that Jacques Villeneuve gets after 3 stops to Michael Schumacher's 2.
I was standing on the podium and I was just empty of my mind, just celebrating this moment, because obviously, as practice went, as whole sessions had gone, I wasn't too satisfied and I wasn't too optimistic for the race. And in a straightforward circumstance like dry, I think we would have struggled really. But obviously with this weather and then making the right choice for the tyres, everything went so perfect that I'm really, really delighted, both for the team and obviously for me, for the sponsors. It's a great combination we have in our team.
What was it like at the start of the race under those wet conditions?
Fairly difficult, I have to say, and I think it was quite right to have the pace car out because most of the cars were on those kind of intermediate tyres, and there were some quite big pedal of waters which after 2 laps disappeared, so for that reason I'd say that the safety car had a right to be out, and it was a good decision. After that the race was clear, straightforward, and then I obviously was able to pull out the gap at the first in.
At one point, you overtook Alesi and Villeneuve in 1 lap, and then you built your lead up to well over a minute. Is there any explanation for that achievement?
I'd say we took the right decision both for setup and for tyres, and obviously I'm obviously well into the circuit when it has difficult circumstance. That suits myself quite well, and everything worked together.
Michael, well done. Giancarlo, your best podium finish yet. You must be absolutely delighted with today's performance.
I don't believe this. I'm very happy. Second podium, yeah.
The best result, though?
Best, yeah. It's incredible. Michael was very quick, also Mika in the middle of the race. But the team make a very good job. So now my target is the victory. But I know this is very difficult.
Wait till...
How difficult was it for you to overtake Jean Alesi at the beginning of the race when it was very wet?
Yes, it was very wet, and especially outside of the line. I drove very careful in the beginning, but I overtaken Alesi and the Villeneuve. So this is very important, very nice day. Thank you very much for everybody, my team, Jordan.
Giancarlo, well done. Mika, you've got a good record here at Spa. You drove a very good race yourself today.
Yeah, thank you. It was end of the day a good race, considering all things what has happened this weekend. So the final result was very satisfaction.
How much of a battle did you have with Heinz-Harald Frentzen?
I did have actually a battle, and the reason for that was I had some slight technical problem with the car, and I was losing time every lap, and I was not able to push as fast as I was able to do, but it was this problem.
Towards the end, did you think you could catch Giancarlo, or were you more worried about holding Heinz-Harald off?
I was honestly more worried about holding Fisichella because, Heinz, because just because I had this problem with the car, so it was just a matter of finishing the race with the position what I had at that moment.
What were the conditions at the start like for you? Were they very difficult?
Indeed. I mean, it was dreadful once, as like Michael said, the battles and like what you call little rivers over the circuit was absolutely disaster. And luckily the race car stayed out there a couple of laps, didn't start the race straight away, because otherwise it's going to be a major disaster. So extremely difficult, and well, we managed to get through.
Well, Mika, well done. Michael, we now go to Monza, and you're 12 points ahead in the Drivers' Championship. What are your feelings on that?
Obviously, it couldn't have gone better than this way. We wouldn't have scored 1 point. We took the full points. Maybe it's paying back for obviously the bad luck we had during Silverstone, and I'd say even Hungary. But nothing has decided yet, because 12 points, it's a nice margin, but with 5 races to go, it's still not a definite situation. But things improving, and I hope that Monza is going to be as good as last year. Even I think it's going to be very difficult, because the 2 next to me are going to be very fast there, what I saw from the test. And it's going to be a struggle, but on the other side, I'd rather have them in front of me than Villeneuve. So,
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. Even Villeneuve was very fast at the last test we did there. Next week we're going to have 4-day test, and I hope we can improve our situation and we know where we are for the race weekend, and then see.
Well, congratulations.